here. You're right, that too. That's another thing.
Brian, you sold this.
I think when Jack got, when he got paid off,
But you guys both kept
that's where my ex-husband was supposed to pay me for 5 years. He couldn't do it anymore, so
I didn't want to
the rest of it off right then. Yeah, so are you still? Oh, that's not bad. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know. You're right. No,
We did, but I had Joe make 1 or 2 changes since that time.
oh, yeah. Okay. Joint custody. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We came close a couple of times. That was really robust. One on the field. That was nicely done.
Hey, Rich.
Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's the regular City Council meeting of November 28th, 2016. The time is 7:30 p.m. Can we please have a roll call?
Mayor Pro Tem Bliss.
I'm here.
Councilman Clark.
Here.
Councilman Corbett.
Present.
Councilman Gettings.
Here.
Councilwoman Scott.
Here.
Councilman Soltis.
Here.
Mayor Hartwell.
Yes, I'm here. Would you please rise if you're able? We'll begin with an invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Mark Bliss and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear wise and loving Heavenly Father, we have been given the gift of information, more data than ever before, as well as more ways to connect with our constituents and find ways to truly understand their needs. Help us tonight to use that data and the increased accessibility to our citizens to learn what we don't know and act on that new information to find ways to improve the lives of our residents. Help us to enter each and every debate tonight with an open mind, discuss the issues through a lens of thorough dialogue, and help us to find solutions that are often buried in cooperation and compromise. Help our entire community to work together and encourage each other to excellence as we all focus on making this city even more prosperous with each and every passing day. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. We need a motion. Can I please have a motion to appoint the acting city clerk, Ramona Sanchez?
Your Honor.
Mr. Bliss?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Gettings?
Second.
Any discussion on appointing Ramona Sanchez as the acting city clerk for tonight's meeting? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. The motion carries. Approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll go to presentations. We have one tonight regarding the Purple Heart City Proclamation. Mr. Myers?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd be happy to read the proclamation. This is the City of Madison Heights, Michigan, a Purple Heart City. Whereas the people of the City of Madison Heights have great admiration and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served their country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas veterans have paid the high price of freedom by leaving their families and communities and placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women from Madison Heights who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas many men and women in uniform have given their lives while serving in the armed forces. And whereas many citizens of our community have earned the Purple Heart Medal as a result of being wounded while engaged in combat with an enemy force, construed as a singularly meritorious act of essential service. And whereas November 28th, 2016 has officially been designated as the day in Madison Heights to remember and recognize veterans who are recipients of the Purple Heart Medal. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of Madison Heights, Michigan hereby proclaims Madison Heights as a Purple Heart City. honoring the service and sacrifice of our nation's men and women in uniform wounded or killed by the enemy while serving to protect the freedoms enjoyed by all Americans.
Thank you. Are there any veterans who received the Purple Heart here in attendance tonight? If not, I'd like to present this city's proclamation to Councilman Rich Clark, who with Dave Soltis proposed this idea. And Councilman Clark, I hope you'll find a fitting place to install this proclamation to honor those veterans who paid the ultimate sacrifice.
But actually, Councilman Soltis was the lead man. He is the one that suggested it. So this should go to him.
Wow. Thanks. It goes to all of us then. Thank you very much, Mr. Clark.
Mr. Mayor?
Are there any comments from the two gentlemen who proposed this?
Yes, I want to thank both of them for their work and leading us in that proclamation. I would suggest, unless they want to keep it with themselves, because they both deserve it, I would like to propose that they frame that or keep it as is and put it next to the Wall of Heroes board, which will be installed in the hallway of the Heritage Room Museum. So that way they can be connected. That's just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we're also in the process of having our city put on the national list for the Purple Heart cities.
Mr. Soltis?
Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman Scott, that's a great idea. We will do that.
Okay.
The next step is that there was a gentleman that called me tonight, and he's a Purple Heart recipient and lives in Madison Heights, so we're going to reach out to him. The next step is to reach out to the local chapter, I guess, and then have some type of meet and greet with this gentleman, and then we'll give another award to all the Purple Heart recipients that come forward. So, thank you.
Great work. Reports on an agenda of interest to parties in the audience. Okay. Public hearings, we also don't have any. Meeting is open to the public. If anyone would like to address City Council, now is the time. Please come to the podium. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jack Lloyd, Hazel Park resident. Like to be a Madison Heights resident. But I just wanted to say congratulations on a beautiful lighting ceremony, and everybody here looks nice and healthy people. And working together with Hazel Park is such a blessing. I want to wish you a nice, happy holiday and a safe holiday. And it's certainly a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Everybody have a lovely holiday. Drive safe. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
You too, Jack.
Take care.
Jack, you shouldn't be so modest. You're the longest-serving elected official in the Hazel Park City Council history as a member of the City Council and the mayor. So thanks for your service. The meeting is still open to the public. Would anyone like to address City Council? All right, we'll continue. It's a quick agenda tonight, so just for the sake of procedure, I'm going to state all the things that we do not have work tonight. Item C, communications, there are none. Item D, reports, there are none. Item E, items for future public hearings, there are none. F, bid awards, there are none. G, ordinances, there are none. H, unfinished business, there is none. So we'll adopt the minutes. Can I please have a motion to adopt the minutes for November 1, 2016 of this special City Council meeting?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Corbett.
Sir, I move that the council approve the special council meeting minutes from November 1st as printed.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor?
Mrs. Scott?
Second.
Any discussion on approving as printed the minutes of the special meeting of 11/1/16? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Can I have a motion for the regular City Council minutes
So move, Mr. Mayor.
to approve as printed?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second?
Mr.
Mr.
Mayor?
Mayor?
Mr. Corbett?
Support.
Any discussion on adopting the minutes as printed from the regular meeting of 11/14/16? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries for both. Appointments. Are there any nominations to boards and commissions tonight? I know we recently received an application. I'll begin with the mayor's appointment. I nominate Rosalind Grafstein to fill the full seat on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, the term expiring April 2018. Will someone accept that nomination?
I sure will, Mr. Mayor.
Is there a second?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Corbett?
Support.
Any discussion on this nomination? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Congratulations, you're in. Any other nominations or appointments, I should say?
Rosalind will be replacing Mrs. Yemick.
Great.
That'll be great.
Great legacy.
Yes, sir.
Any other appointment? Any other nominations to boards and commissions? Okay, hearing none. Next on the agenda is an executive session. We do not have one planned tonight. So before I adjourn the meeting, I'll ask if there's any closing comments from the members of City Council and staff, and I'd like to begin with Councilman Corbett.
Just a thank you to the community for its support of the Goodfellows this past weekend. Saturday, we had a number of volunteers soliciting donations, and a number of college students and some high school kids, and it was very successful. So thank you to the community. This coming weekend, the volunteers will be going to try and do their best to fill the orders and the requests on behalf of Santa for the young people who will be receiving some assistance this fall. And thank you very much to all. That's all tonight, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bliss?
Yes, Your Honor. So I wanted to thank everybody who contributed to tonight's tree lighting ceremony. It was really, really nice. You know, the lighting, we keep amping that up every year. But, you know, special thanks to everybody like the Intermediate Women's Club, Bigby Coffee, Costco for their donations of, time, cookies, hot chocolate, etc. Also, thank you to Michigan Weather for giving us a free shower. It was nice. It woke me up a little bit. The only other thing that I have tonight, I'd like to ask staff to put together a congratulatory resolution. Father Gerard Battersby, who is a Lamford grad in 1978, actually has been named a bishop designate for the Archdiocese of Detroit by Pope Francis, which is incredible and outstanding. That somebody so local and who is raised in the same community as we were is going to become one of our bishops here in the Detroit area. So really cool thing. I'd like for us to see if we can find him, find time in his schedule to have him come out and receive that resolution. But if not, at the very least, we could, present it to him, through mail if necessary. But I'd just like to see us do that. It's a pretty amazing accomplishment for somebody whose roots are in the city of Madison Heights.
Thank you. Mr. Gettings.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Thanks to the DPS crew, Joe Vitale, and everybody involved. Thanks to the police, our police reserves, the folks that do the barricades. To Miss Gerald's and her group, just for everybody chipping in. And it's a long day setting up, and to Santa and Mrs. Claus, it all came up without a hitch. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. City Attorney, Mr. Sherman.
One comment, Mr. Mayor. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving with their families, and I want to wish happy holiday season to the mayor, the council, their families, staff and families, and all our citizens. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. City Manager, Mr. Myers.
Yes, Your Honor. I just want to add to the list of thanks for tonight's tree lighting ceremony. In addition to our staff, we also had the Page and Lamfair bands here tonight. Oakland County Parks and Recreation with the band shell. We appreciate the cooperation from them. Also, I just want to remind the public that we have one council meeting in December, and this year it will be Monday, December 12th. And then finally, to remind the public that this is our last week for yard waste pickup by our solid waste contractor. The program ends December 2nd and resumes the first week of April. And of course, our DPS is continuing with the curbside leaf collection schedule. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Acting City Clerk, Ms. Sanchez. Thank you. Mr. Clark?
One thing, Mr. Mayor. I got a surprise telephone call last week saying, congratulations, this is the Clearinghouse Publications, saying you have won $1 million. We will be delivering that to you this afternoon. Well, then he says, the only thing is, we need a serial statement. I said, what's that? He said, well, that has to do with the government okaying this. So, well, I wanted to get as much information as I could from the guy. So he went on to say, if you got access to $135 in cash. Well, I might have, I probably do. Well, put that right there in front of you, and then go get a paper towel and 2 envelopes, one smaller than the other. Okay, well, you take that $135, wrap it in the paper towel, put it in the one envelope, seal that, and then put it in the other envelope, seal that. All this time, I've got a piece of paper in my hand, and I'm sort of rattling it back and forth. And he says, now what you do, you take that up to the post office and get an overnight express mail. That'll cost you $25. Well, he gave me the address where to send it, and it's a town with 8 Mile, Alabama. He gave me the name of the person and everything and a zip code. He says, when you get to the post office, don't tell anybody anything about it. If they ask you what's in there, you just say documents. Okay, I can do that. How long will it take for you to go to the post office and come back? I said, I don't know, it's busy. An hour, hour and a half. So about an hour, he calls back. Have you been to the post office? No, something happened on the way and I didn't make it. Well, he called me at least 20 times that evening or the rest of the day. So I was telling my son-in-law about it. So he got the telephone number of the person that was calling. He Googled it, and he called, my son-in-law called me back, and he says, that number comes from Jamaica. So he has been calling. He called this morning, which I don't answer anymore, but I took all the information, the addresses, the telephone numbers, to the post office and gave it to them. And they said, well, they made a copy, and they said, well, we'll investigate this. So if you get a call from Clearinghouse saying you won $1 million, or anybody else saying you won money, but you have to give money to get that money, don't do it, please. That's all I have.
Thank you. Good tip. Mrs. Scott?
Yes, as my mom got older, she got involved in the sweepstakes contest. Any kind of a document that said you have won. Of course, she didn't understand the fact that her name would appear on all these computer printouts because she thought she really had won it. But I would caution, especially if you have a senior in the family, to please let them know that in almost probably 99% of the cases it's a scam. And do not ever give out any money unsolicited for if they claim that you're going to get something if you send in this money. My mother was bilked out of $4,000 at one point because she had to pay the taxes first before she could get the receipt. So I just would very severely caution you to please watch out for your elderly loved ones, especially, who are oftentimes the victims of this. And the problem is, once they get your name and you are complying with what they want you to do, you will find that you will be getting mail from all over and solicitations. It can be an awful way to bilk you out of a lot of money, little at a time, and that can very easily happen. So I would suggest that you report it to the police department, get as much information as you can, and report it to the police department, because it really should be stopped.
For the police department, I called them first, and they said they couldn't do anything about it
Right.
unless there was money in exchange. Then they could do something.
Right. Yeah, well, I think in my mother's case, she had sent out a lot of money, and so we sat down with the police department. This was in Grosse Pointe Park. And after doing some investigation, she found out that the gentleman's name was Dracula, spelled backwards, and he posed as an attorney, and she was not able to get the money back, but it was about $4,000, so I would, do whatever you can, especially if you've sent them money. It's not too late to report them, because it was really sad to see my mother being the victim of scams. I also wanted to thank everybody on the Goodfellows, and that would be namely Bob and Linda Corbett, Jean Linville, Karen Berardi, Lori Fecta, and all the other people that have worked with the Goodfellows for years. We attended their spaghetti dinner, and it was great to see a lot of people there. And I want to thank the Goodfellows again for making Christmas so much brighter for so many people in Madison Heights, because it really does make a difference. Also, I wanted to make sure that the fire department, that you all know, the fire department offers free smoke detectors to senior citizens and low-income families. And these detectors will be installed by the firefighters at no cost to the homeowner. All you have to do is call their non-emergency number, which is 248-588-3605, and ask for an application. There's a little form that you'll fill out, and they will get a free smoke detector in your home for use. It's usually given, though, to people that have not had any smoke detectors in their home, so they're very easily appreciated, and it's really a good idea to make sure, especially during the holiday season when there seem to be a lot of fires. That's all, and I want to thank everybody. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you on December the 12th. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Soltis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got two things. One, I want to thank Lowe's. They donated about 50 poinsettias, good-sized ones, because I did a ride-along, help the senior Meals on Wheels. So each house that we were at, they received a poinsettia from Lowe's. And the remaining balance we gave to the senior center. They were going to distribute them out there. So I really appreciate they came through again. Second, we're going to do the Christmas dinner for public safety, the firemen and the police again this year. We got the same volunteers. If you want to volunteer, donate food or some monetary, we'd appreciate it. Also, if you want to send them cards, a lot of people sent cards, Christmas cards to the fire and police, and they really appreciate it. So we're going to do that again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A tip of the cap to the Goodfellows, and tonight Santa Claus encouraged the public to send donations to the private charity Goodfellows. It's important, and Councilman Corbett will tell you, the Goodfellows act as the clearinghouse for all the charities that want to donate to needy families this time of year. The Goodfellows take it upon themselves to do the checks and the reviews of who the needy families are in our community. So instead of duplicated efforts by a dozen charities, the Goodfellows do the yeoman's work, and it's a great program. And so thanks to everyone that made our tree lighting ceremony possible tonight. The city is accepting donations. I think it costs a couple $1,000s to set up and to power the lights. So the city does accept donations to the city of Madison Heights, and in the memo, write tree lighting ceremony. But I wanted to recognize one of our outstanding employees, Police Officer Ed Malik, who received a thank you note through the police chief's office. And I just want to read one quote from the father of a young lady who was involved in a traffic accident. And this father was really touched by how Officer Malik went out of his way to address the scene and to take care of the people at the incident. This is what the father said, quote, "I observed such professional and compassionate interaction between Officer Malik and my daughter that I am certain that this officer was exactly why my daughter did not just fully shut down, possibly needing further medical attention from the shock of the event. The way this gentleman, Officer Malik, conducted himself with my daughter, I felt almost certain that he must be a father himself, and if not, then is truly an exemplary human being." And it's not too often that we get thank you letters for our police officers or our firemen and women. But this really touched my heart. And we all know Officer Ed Malik, and he's given great years to this city. And I just want to thank him and the other firefighters just for the hard work they do and the day-to-day work that goes unrecognized. So thank you to all our employees. Thank you to City Council. Happy Thanksgiving. And is there any further business before the council? Hearing none, the meeting's adjourned. Good night.
Well, I should take this out and put it on the plaque.